What if the moon was never just a rock spinning in the cold void of space? What if the light it casts down on you, that pale silver glow that has haunted humanity since the first eyes opened in the dark, was not meant to illuminate the ground beneath your feet, but the terrain inside your own chest? You have been taught to look up at the night sky and see a satellite, a dead world of craters and dust, pulling the tides and marking the months. But that is the surface story. That is the version of reality they want you to accept because it keeps you looking outward, measuring time by a clock that ticks in straight lines, ignoring the rhythm that actually governs your biology, your sanity, and your soul. There is a map you were born with, etched not into paper, but into the very fluid of your cells, a chart that navigates the most dangerous landscape you will ever cross, the landscape of your own emotions. And for thousands of years, this map was known, guarded, and mastered by a figure the modern world has reduced to a footnote in mythology books. His name was Khonsu. To the uninitiated, he was just a lunar god, a falcon-headed deity painted on crumbling walls in Egypt. But to those who knew the codes, to the initiates of the inner temples, Khonsu was not a god of the sky. He was the traveler. He was the navigator of the night walk. The ancients understood something that modern psychology is only just beginning to scratch the surface of: that darkness is not empty. Darkness is information, and Khonsu was the architect of a system designed to read that information. He carried the night walk map, a lunar chart that didn't just track the waxing and waning of a celestial body, but organized the chaotic, terrifying, and ecstatic tides of human emotion. He knew that your anger, your grief, your sudden bursts of inspiration, and those crushing waves of anxiety were not random errors in your brain chemistry. They were coordinates. They were phases. And because you have forgotten how to read this map, because you have been trained to drug the darkness, distract the mind, and fear the shadow, you are walking through your own life blind. You feel it, don't you? That sense of drifting, that instability that hits you even when everything on the outside seems perfect. You wake up heavy for no reason. You feel a surge of energy that has nowhere to go, so it turns into anxiety. You feel a grief you cannot name. The system tells you this is a disorder. It tells you to fix it, to flatten the curve, to return to a baseline of productivity. But Khonsu would tell you that you are simply standing in a dune of the night walk without a compass. You are experiencing a phase, a necessary, biological, and spiritual tide. But because you are fighting it, you are drowning in it. The night walk is not a metaphor. It is a method. It is an ancient, suppressed system of traveling through one's own dark spots to restore a stability that is not static, but dynamic, a stability that breathes. Khonsu did not guide caravans across the physical desert merely to move spices and gold. He guided the soul across the shadowed terrain of the heart, where the monsters are not scorpions or snakes, but the repressed memories and dormant powers you have been taught to fear. This video is not a history lesson. It is a retrieval. We are going to decode the night walk map. We are going to walk where the moonlight fades, and we are going to remind you that you were never meant to fear the dark. You were meant to navigate it. To understand the map, you must first understand the navigator. And this requires you to strip away everything you think you know about Egyptian mythology. Forget the sun god Ra for a moment. Ra is the god of the day, of clarity, of the conscious mind, of everything that can be seen, measured, and proven. Ra is the logic you use at your job. Ra is the mask you wear in public. But you do not live in the eternal noon of Ra. You live half your life in the shadow, and that is the domain of Khonsu. Khonsu is often depicted as a young man, sometimes a child with the side lock of youth, mummiform, restricted, yet holding the crook and flail of sovereignty. Why a child? Because the lunar self, the emotional self, is ancient yet perpetually young, vulnerable, reactive, and potent with potential growth. His name, Khonsu, derives from the root khens, which means to cross or to travel. He is the one who crosses. But what is he crossing? He is crossing the sky, yes, but in the esoteric tradition, the sky is the mind. He is the traveler of inner darkness. While the other gods demanded worship, Khonsu offered guidance. His power was subtle. He was not the blazing commander. He was the whisperer. The ancients believed he measured lunar time, but this wasn't just about calendars. Lunar time is not linear. It is cyclical. It is the time of the blood, the time of the tides, the time of the dream. Khonsu ruled over everything that rises and falls within the human body. The pulse of hormones, the cycles of sleep, the mysterious intervals of memory, and the sudden, sharp pangs of intuition that warn you of danger before your eyes even see it. He was the compass in the dark. Imagine the desert at night. The sun is gone. The heat has vanished, replaced by a bone-deep chill. The landmarks you used during the day, the mountains, the trails, are swallowed by shadow. You cannot see where you are going. Panic sets in. This is the state of the modern human soul. You have been trained to navigate by the sun, by logic and external validation. So when the sun sets, when trauma hits, when loss occurs, when the depression rolls in, you are helpless. You have no tools for the dark. Khonsu is the tool. He wears the crescent moon upon his head, not as a crown, but as an instrument, a sextant. He represents the capacity within you to navigate without seeing, to feel your way through the landscape. He is the embodiment of emotional intelligence raised to the level of divine law. The ancients didn't see emotions as messy biological byproducts. They saw them as weather. And just as a sailor must know the wind and the tide to survive the ocean, a human being must know the phases of Khonsu to survive the life of the soul. But there is a reason this navigator was pushed into the background. A society run by Ra, by solar logic, by rigid structures, by the 9-to-5 grind, cannot tolerate the fluctuating cyclical nature of Khonsu. The lunar rhythm is unpredictable to a machine. It demands rest when the schedule demands work. It demands introspection when the world demands output. So Khonsu was relegated to a minor healer, a timekeeper. The traveler was grounded. And without the traveler, we forgot the map. We forgot that we are not static beings. We are tides wrapped in skin. And a tide that is dammed up, a tide that is not allowed to flow, will eventually crash through the walls and destroy the city. This brings us to the myth of the moonlit blueprint. It is a story that was whispered in the sanatoriums of the temples, a cinematic allegory for the structure of the psyche. It is said that every night, Khonsu descends from the sky and draws a glowing silver map across the desert sands. But this map is not fixed. It is alive. Imagine standing on a dune under a sky so black it feels like velvet. Khonsu stands beside you. He points to the horizon, and as the moonlight hits the sand, the landscape shifts. A dune rises here, representing a peak of longing. A valley sinks there, a canyon of anxiety. A lake of silver silence appears, the reservoir of grief. This is your inner world. It is not a flat plain. It is a rugged, dangerous, and beautiful terrain. Shutterstock. The myth says that as the moon shifts phases in the sky, the map on the ground reshapes itself. When the moon is full, the map is bright, the peaks are high, the valleys are deep, and everything is exposed. There is no hiding. But when the moon goes dark, the map changes. The peaks dissolve. The ground becomes treacherous, and hidden chambers appear in the sand, the shadow wells. These shadow wells are the places where repressed emotions sleep. They are the storage lockers of the psyche. The anger you swallowed 10 years ago, the shame you felt as a child, the love you never confessed, they do not vanish. They go into the wells, and Khonsu teaches the most dangerous truth of all. True stability does not come from avoiding these wells. It comes from entering them. The modern world tells you to build a fortress on the flat ground and never leave. Stay safe. Stay comfortable. If you feel sad, take a pill. If you feel angry, distract yourself. If you feel lost, buy something. This is the strategy of avoidance. It creates a brittle stability, a glass house that shatters the moment the ground shakes. Khonsu's strategy is different. He teaches that you must be a nomad of your own soul. You must walk the map. He says that if you stay in one place, the tides will eventually drown you. But if you move with the moon, if you travel through the landscape as it shifts, you gain mastery. You learn that the valley of anxiety is not a place to live, but a place to cross. You learn that the lake of grief is deep, but it has a shore. The map is a blueprint of movement. It is a promise that no emotional state is permanent unless you stop walking. Only those who dare follow him through the shifting landscape gain mastery over their inner tides. This is the night walk. It is the deliberate, conscious journey into the parts of yourself that you have been trained to ignore. It is the refusal to be afraid of your own complexity, and it begins with understanding the code. The map is not random. It follows a sequence, a logic as precise as gravity. The moon above dictates the terrain below. And once you learn to decode this connection, you stop being a victim of your moods and start becoming the navigator of your existence. Let us decode the Nightwalk map. The system Khonsu laid out is not mystical fluff. It is a precise categorization of biorhythms and psychic states. It breaks the human experience down into 4 primary zones, each governed by a phase of the moon. First, the new moon, the hidden tide. The sky is dark. The map is obscured. This is the phase of low energy, of introspection. In the biological body, this corresponds to the reset point of the hormonal cycle, a time when the physical vessel is quiet. But in the psyche, this is where the dormant fears rise subtly. Khonsu guides the traveler to the invisible dunes. These are the unresolved emotions that whisper beneath the threshold of consciousness. In the modern world, we hate this phase. We feel sluggish, uninspired, off. We try to force productivity with caffeine and artificial light. But Khonsu warns that this is the time to stop. The map here is delicate. If you run now, you will trip. This is the time to listen to the silence, to identify the shadows before they have forms. Then comes the first quarter, the rising surge. Light returns. A sliver becomes a shape. The emotional momentum grows. You feel a spark of agitation, a restlessness in the limbs. This is cortisol rising, the biological engine revving up. Creativity sparks, but so does frustration. On the Nightwalk map, the dunes begin to steepen. The path becomes an ascent. Khonsu teaches the traveler how to channel this buildup into action before it becomes pressure. Most people misuse this energy. They let it turn into anxiety or conflict. The map shows that this is kinetic energy. It must be used to climb. It is the time to build, to initiate, to move the body. Then, the apex. Full moon, the overflow. The desert is flooded with silver light. Everything is visible. The shadows are sharpest because the light is brightest. Biologically, this is the peak of the cycle, often correlated with ovulation in women or testosterone peaks in men, a time of maximum outward expression. Emotions peak, the truth surfaces. You cannot lie under a full moon. Khonsu reveals the mirror lake. In this phase, you look into the water and you see exactly who you are. You see your desires, naked and burning. You see your wounds, red and raw. The danger here is overwhelming. The intensity can burn you out. The modern world is perpetually trying to live in a full moon phase. Maximum visibility, maximum output, maximum noise. But the map shows that this is a moment, not a lifestyle. You gaze into the mirror lake, you accept the truth of the reflection, and then you must prepare to leave. Finally, the waning moon, the release. The light retreats, the shadows lengthen and soften. This is the exhale, grounding, detoxification. On the map, the path leads downhill, out of the high peaks and into the cooling valleys. Khonsu leads travelers out of the emotional fog and back to equilibrium. This is the time for letting go of what the full moon revealed, but what you no longer need to carry. It is the shedding of the skin. If you try to start new projects here, if you try to force the ascent, you are fighting the gravity of the map. This is where burnout happens. The system demands release. Each of these stops corresponds to your biological reality. Your circadian rhythms, your hormonal timing, your sleep patterns, they all dance to this map. By ignoring it, by trying to live a linear life in a cyclical body, you are breaking the compass. You are walking in circles in the dark, wondering why you are exhausted, wondering why you are lost. Khonsu offers the way out, but the way out is not always easy, because eventually the map leads you to the place you least want to go. The map has regions that are marked with warning signs. These are the dark spots, and Khonsu's most feared instruction is simple. Go where the moonlight fades. This goes against every survival instinct you have. Evolution taught you to stay in the light, to stay where you can see the predators. But in the inner world, the predator is the thing you refuse to see. The dark spots are emotional dead zones. They are the pockets of unresolved anger that you have insulated with cynicism. They are the traumas you have paved over with workaholism. They are the grief you have silenced with noise. Khonsu's map shows that these areas distort the inner rhythm. Think of them as gravity wells. Even if you are walking on the lit path, if you are close to a dark spot, it pulls on you. It bends your trajectory. You lash out at a friend, not because of what they said, but because the gravity of an old wound pulled your reaction off course. You sabotage a success, not because you aren't capable, but because the dark spot of unworthiness warped your navigation. Khonsu teaches that you cannot simply walk around these spots. They grow if they are ignored. You must walk through them. This is the journey of the shadow walker. It follows 3 principles, encoded in the ancient rites. First, recognition. You must name the emotion. You cannot navigate a terrain you refuse to label. Is it anger? Is it fear? Is it envy? The map requires specificity. I feel bad is not a coordinate. I feel a deep ancient shame regarding my father is a coordinate. Khonsu demands you look at the dark dune and call it by its name. Second, illumination. You must sit with it under internal moonlight. This is the hardest part. It is the pause. You do not fix it yet. You do not run from it. You light a torch and you sit in the center of the dark spot. You let the emotion wash over you. You observe its texture, its temperature, its weight. You bring the light of consciousness, Khonsu's lamp, into the cellar. You realize that the monster, when lit, is often just a small, frightened child or a misunderstanding frozen in time. Third, integration. You bring it back into the emotional cycle. You do not leave the emotion in the dark. You put it in your pack. You accept it as part of your geography. This grief is part of my map. This anger is part of my fuel. When you integrate the dark spot, it stops being a gravity well that distorts your path and becomes a landmark that guides you. This connects emotional healing with lunar metaphysics in a way that modern therapy often misses. Dark spots are not places of punishment. They are not evidence that you are broken. They are simply places where timing breaks. They are frozen moments. Trauma is just an experience that got stuck in time, unable to cycle through to release. By revisiting them with Khonsu's map, by walking through them, you restart the clock. You restore the flow of emotional energy. You turn a stagnant pool into a flowing river. You might be thinking, this is ancient mythology. What does it have to do with my 9 to 5, my bills, my relationships? It has everything to do with them. Because the instability you feel, the burnout, the anxiety, the feeling of being perpetually overwhelmed, is a symptom of misalignment. You are trying to force a lunar being into a solar schedule. Let's translate Khonsu's system into practical insights for the modern life. Your emotional cycles mirror lunar cycles. Stress is not a straight line. It rises and falls predictably. If you track it, you will see the pattern. Your sleep patterns, your hormones, your mood. They follow a roughly 28-day rhythm, regardless of your gender. This is biological fact. We are water-based beings living under the gravity of a rock that moves oceans. To think we are immune to its rhythm is arrogance. Ignoring the dark spots disrupts your internal timing. When you push through the new moon phase, that low energy, introspective time, with caffeine and sheer will, you borrow energy from the future. You create a debt. And when the full moon phase comes, the time when you should be at peak performance, you are exhausted, anxious, and brittle because you didn't rest when the map told you to rest. This is where the Khonsu method comes in. It is a way of overlaying the ancient map onto your modern calendar. First, track your emotional phases. Stop looking at the date and start looking at your state. Are you in a waxing phase, building energy, or a waning phase? Shedding energy. Be honest. If you are waning, stop trying to start new empires, clean your house, finish your tasks, prepare for the dark. Second, identify dark spots. Notice the days where your pattern breaks. Notice the triggers that send you spiraling. Mark them on your mental map. Tuesdays after meetings with this specific person are a dark spot. Why? What is the emotion there? Recognition. Third, schedule self-care in alignment with lunar ebb and flow. This is revolutionary. Don't just rest when you crash. Rest before the crash. Rest during the dark phase so you can soar during the light phase. Align your hardest work with your first quarter and full energy. Align your review and healing work with the waning and new energy. Fourth, walk through shadows intentionally, not reactively. When a negative emotion hits, don't doom scroll, don't numb out. Do a Khonsu check, name it, sit with it for 10 minutes. illuminate it, then integrate it. I am angry. I see it. I will use this energy to set a boundary. This transforms emotional overwhelm into rhythmic mastery. You stop being afraid of your own moods. You realize that feeling low is just a phase of the map, a valley that leads to a mountain. You stop judging yourself for not being on 100% of the time. The moon is not always full. Why do you demand that of yourself? To be whole is to be phased. To be whole is to have a dark side and a light side, and to know how to navigate both. And now, we reach the end of the desert. The journey across the night walk map brings us to the crest of a silver dune. The air is cool. The silence is absolute. Khonsu stands there, waiting. He is no longer the child, nor the mummy. He is the sovereign navigator, his skin glowing with the soft luminescence of 1,000 full moons. He holds the map, which is now rolled up, because you no longer need to look at it. You have memorized the terrain with your feet. He speaks, his voice like the sound of wind over sand. To master the night, you must learn its rhythm. Walk where you fear to walk, and the moon will steady your steps. This is the secret of the ancient temples. Stability is not the absence of darkness. It is not a life without pain, without fear, without shadow. That is a fantasy sold to you by a world that wants you weak. True stability is the ability to navigate the darkness with timing and awareness. It is the confidence of the sailor who knows the storm is coming and knows exactly how to set the sail. You have walked the map. You have faced the shadow wells. You have seen your reflection in the mirror lake. And you have survived. You are different now. You are no longer just a creature of the day, terrified of the sun going down. You are a creature of the cosmos, aligned with the deep, slow, powerful pulse of the universe. The system wants you disconnected, frantic, and linear. It wants you burning out and buying cures. But you have the map now. You have the code. You know that every low point is a preparation for a high point. You know that every shadow holds a secret. For the moon does not shine to banish the night. It shines to guide you through it. Follow Khonsu's map, and every shadow becomes a path. If this video resonated with you, let us know by commenting, "I understood it."